Okay, in this video we are going to dive straight into the nature of morality. What is good and what is bad, or what is right and what is wrong? This is once again a huge subject that can be talked about for hours and hours, and there exists many, thousands of books, lectures, videos, debates, and whatever else. And here I am giving you my perspective. So, where do I start? Maybe we should first start to define what good and bad is. Here is a random definition produced by AI. In essence, good and bad are subjective terms describing qualities or actions based on a set of values or standards. Good generally refers to positive attributes, while bad refers to negative ones. These can apply to physical things, actions, or moral judgments. Now, this is just a definition, and there are thousands of ways to define good and bad. But so basically, I think that we can all agree on the following description of good. Good is when we literally have positive sensations in our body. Good means something Good means something or someone or an event is allowed to continue existing, and there is no need to stop it from continuing its activity or existence. And of course, bad is just the opposite of all that. So it seems to be really simple. Good is only good when it feels good. So it all has to do with the way we experience things. If it hurts, it's bad. If it feels relaxing, it's good. Now, of course, there are so many gradations of body sensations that can be experienced as good or bad. There are many different levels of intensity. Something can hurt just a little bit, or it can be extremely painful. As you notice, right now I'm only talking about the physical body experiencing sensory stimuli. But of course, good and bad feelings can also be strongly influenced by the way you interpret certain actions, behavior, or words. When you see something happening, for example, a lonely dog sitting outside on a cold winter night, shivering and starving, that visual information in and of itself does not literally hurt your own body, but your rational mind realizes that the dog is suffering. You understand that it is an absolute fact that the dog is suffering. So those insightful thoughts about the suffering of the dog will literally cause a bad feeling inside you. It's what we call empathy. Thoughts are very powerful. They can cause a lot of suffering. Just think about depression, anxiety, mourning, nightmares, hallucinations, etc. Now, for reality itself, there is no good or bad. Because whatever happens, it continues to happen no matter what. Again, if we consider something as bad, we want that something to stop doing what it is doing. For example, when your house is on fire, the only thing we want at that moment is to stop the fire. But of course, nature doesn't give a flying fuck, and it will continue to burn your house down until nothing is left over. Nature just doesn't give a damn about good or bad, it seems. Um, Nature doesn't stop pain or suffering, although the biological body tries to heal the body when it is injured. But when the injury is too intense, you will still experience extreme pain that could last for minutes or hours. And at those moments, you will go through hell. And it's kind of amazing how nature has allowed the biological body to experience such intense potential degrees of pain and suffering. Negativity is a relative term. Something can be negative for someone, but positive for someone else. A very simple example: music. A person might turn on the radio and enjoy the songs being played, but another person in the same room might hate that music, right? Another example: animals eating each other. A lion catching a zebra and eating it, it's very bad for the zebra, but very good for the lion. Simple as that. So negativity and positivity mostly go hand in hand. It's like when a certain action or activity happens, that instantly produces a positive effect for one thing, but a negative effect for another thing at the same time. For example, me making this video, it will definitely produce positive effects, such as giving you certain insights. You might appreciate me giving you insights, but at the same time, this video might produce negative effects, such as, I don't know, it could be something really random, such as you listening to me while you're driving your car. And and you get distracted too much and you end up crashing into another car. Or maybe you're listening to this video while sitting on the toilet taking a shit and you lose track of time and therefore you show up late at work, or whatever. The possibilities are infinite. Now, what if literally every event that happens in the universe, no matter how small and trivial, creates a positive and negative effect at the same time? Of course, under the condition that this is experienced by a conscious being nearby. If no conscious creature is nearby, then positive or negative have no meaning. So I'm talking about trivial things like a sunrise, or waves at the beach, or a child eating an ice cream. Or even more simple, me typing out my thoughts on the computer right now. Now, how could that possibly create a positive and negative effect at the same time? Well, it does, believe it or not. As I am typing all of this, I'm using my fingers to press on the keys on the keyboard, and I'm pretty sure that each button on my keyboard contains loads of microscopic living creatures. And so each time I'm pressing a button, I might kill a few creatures, or by pressing the buttons, they now stick to my fingers, and I might put one of my fingers in my mouth, thereby eating some bacteria, causing a negative effect inside my body, And also, there is the mechanics of the buttons, which will deteriorate over time, so that eventually I will need to buy a new keyboard, which will cost me money, and that's a little negative thing for me. And so on and so on. But now, those are rather minor negative things. But what about extreme negative things like wars and famines and genocides and climate change? How could that possibly create positive effects? Well, I think we all know that wars, for example, can have positive economical effects as well as positive technological effects. And what about famines? Well, thousands of people starving to death. Well, those thousands of starving people, once they're dead, their corpses are a feast meal for vultures, maggots, crows, wild pigs, coyotes, and whatever else that feeds on dead corpses. So that is a positive thing for animals that feeds on corpses. So, so generally speaking, no matter what is happening, there are always positive and negative things happening everywhere at any moment. Now, what does this mean morally? If positive and negative things are happening all the time, is there an equilibrium between positive and negative? Can positive outweigh negative, or can negative outweigh positive? Or are they always in balance? And how can we know this? I don't think we can objectively know this, because we would have to be able to trace every single positive and negative effect that an event can create. We would have to take into account literally everything that exists, and especially living beings, of course, and then see whether or not a certain event creates a positive or negative effect for that living being. And then, if we could sum all of that up, we could approximate a global overview of positivity and negativity and see whether or not they are balanced. But that's just way too complex, especially subjective positivity and negativity, which is an entire subject on itself. But I truly want to know, is life itself morally justified or not? Can I know this by a logical deduction, or do we truly have to measure the amount of positive and negative? Well, here is my logic. Unlike the laws of physics, the universe is not ruled by the laws of morality. That's my opinion. Again, nature itself allows cruelty and suffering to happen. It doesn't do anything to prevent suffering. If you fire a bullet at a baby, the laws of physics will allow the bullet to fly through the air and penetrate the skin and skull of the baby, thereby severely damaging the brain and cause potential death. No matter how cruel the action is, the laws of physics always allows everything. To use an even more recent event as an example, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Whether he deserved a bullet in the neck or not, nature doesn't give a flying fuck. However, also, once again, biological bodies, once they are damaged, they try to heal themselves. A body tries to heal itself, but it kinda sucks at that. Healing a broken bone takes a long time. When you hurt yourself really badly, it takes quite some time before the intense pain will fade away. When you suffer from chronic back pain or whatever, the body fails to heal itself, and instead you will have to rely on painkillers and surgeries. Not only bodies try to heal themselves, but the entire planet tries to recover itself. That is to say, nature, plants, trees, oxygen and carbon dioxide levels try to stabilize. So what does this mean? Is healing a morally right thing to do? If yes, then in fact the planet trying to recover and stabilize itself is morally right. Biological bodies trying to heal themselves is morally right. But now we can enter a new domain of discussion and elaborate more on the recovery process of the Earth. Earth is a planet, essentially made of molten rocks, water, and gases. And as far as I know, all these elements do not possess consciousness, so I don't consider the Earth itself to be a conscious living entity. It doesn't have a brain, so it cannot make intentional decisions. Whatever it doesn't have any subjective intentions. Everything it does is solely based on the laws of physics. Now, since I've mentioned the laws of physics a couple of times now, years ago I made a couple of videos where I stated that the intention of the laws of physics is to seek absolute stability. If you observe nature itself, if you observe how nature behaves, you can clearly see how everything is seeking the lowest state of energy level possible. Now, what do I mean by that? If you are sitting in your room right now or somewhere else, it doesn't really matter. Just look around you and notice how all the objects around you are only interested in seeking a state of rest. If an object does not interact with anything else, the energy levels of the atoms inside that object will become lower and lower. It's as simple as that. And that's basically it. That's the natural desire of nature itself. If nothing interacts with something, the energy level of that something will decrease all the way to the lowest energy level. Just simply look at an object in your room. It's just standing there, doing absolutely nothing. And it will continue to do absolutely nothing until something else interacts with it and forces it to change its lowest energy state. So, can there be any unification between morality and the laws of physics? The laws of physics is all about action and reaction, regardless of positive and negative. It's all about measurable quantities. There is force, there is momentum, energy, velocity, pressure, heat, charge. There is shape, size, length, angles, etc. All these things are neutral properties of reality. They are measurable quantities, so they are neither good or bad. Physics is about the physical matter that makes up the universe and all the biological creatures. Yet somehow it produced conscious creatures which have the capacity to experience good and bad. An, an amoral universe basically gave birth to a moral creature. Now, I kind of forgot what the point of this video is. I guess my ultimate question is, does objective morality exist? As I always say, objectivity is an extremely powerful concept, if not the most important concept ever, because objectivity means it must be absolutely true at any moment in time and at any moment in space, no matter what. Right, so does the entirety of reality have moralistic properties? Does it pursue good and bad, or bad, good or bad? In my opinion, it pursues absolutely nothing. It is as amoral as it can be. It's neutral, it only cares about neutrality. It doesn't want the best for you nor the worst. Right, so I will leave it here. The video is long enough. There will probably be more parts regarding this subject. 18 minutes, that's long enough. Alright, thank you for listening if you've made it this far, and I will see you next time.